all cattle are grass-fed for about 80% of their life, and then when it's time to go in the feedlot, yes, they get some objectionable corn and soy-based feed. Welcome to the B.rad podcast, where we explore ways to pursue peak performance with passion throughout life without taking ourselves too seriously. I'm Brad Kearns, New York Times bestselling author, former #3 world-ranked professional triathlete, and Guinness World Record Masters athlete. I connect with experts in diet, fitness, and personal growth, and deliver short breather shows where you get simple, actionable tips to improve your life right away. Let's explore beyond the hype, hacks, shortcuts, and sciencey talk to laugh, have fun, and appreciate the journey. It's time to be rad. Welcome to part 4 in this series, How I Optimize Testosterone Naturally. We started on part 1 talking about getting our sleep game elevated. Of course, the overnight period of sleep, getting good evening habits, minimizing artificial light and digital stimulation after dark, but also integrating rest, recovery, and downtime into hectic, high-stress modern life. Then we moved on to the important topic of cleaning up your act when it comes to diet, and that means eliminating the big 3 categories of toxic modern processed foods: refined industrial seed oils, refined grains, refined sugars, and sweetened beverages made with them. So now that you've cleaned up your act, then you get to go into dietary optimization and emphasizing the most nutrient-dense, easy-to-digest foods on the planet. And I spent part 3 talking about fruit and other well-chosen plant foods. So now in part 4, we get to focus on the tiered ranking system of the most nutritious animal-based foods on Earth and how to choose responsibly, optimally in each animal food category. Carnivore Scores Food Rankings Chart. Follow along by going to bradkearns.com and downloading a free copy of the PDF, printing it out, and affixing it to your refrigerator to use as a handy guide. Here we go with the show. The global all-stars at the top. We have grass-fed liver, we have oysters, we have salmon, roe, and caviar, and we have fruit. So these truly do stand apart as an incredible nutrient density and health properties, especially things like oysters with the high levels of zinc and B12. You can't really find that too easily in many other foods. Same with grass-fed liver, where the micronutrient profile is truly off the charts in comparison to any other food. Liver King says that liver is king, and that's why he's called Liver King, and he's right. And it's really hard to dispute that, especially when you have some propaganda and some programming convincing you that a plant-based diet is going to be the maximum nutritional value. If you look at a microscope or a nutrient profile of the vitamin A and vitamin B and choline and the things that you need in your diet that you can't hardly get at all from any plant food, liver is going to stand proudly as the most nutritious food on the planet. After all, the liver is the control tower for the dispensation of nutrients into the bloodstream in the human and in the animal. And a lot of people confuse this, get this wrong, where the liver is the ultimate detoxifying organ. And so the somehow notion has been conveyed that that means the liver is full of toxins because it's busy detoxifying, and the opposite is true. So the liver very efficiently detoxifies the bloodstream and holds on to all the nutrients that you need and dispenses them. So if you're consuming a liver from a well-raised grass-fed cow, that's when you are hitting a home run out of the park. And if you don't like it or you haven't found a way to integrate it, same with animal organs, which is going to be number 2 on this ranking list, the number 2 tiered category. Of course, you can take advantage of the supplements. That's why I'm so happy to promote my male optimization formula with organs from Ancestral supplements. I take many of their other products and also adding collagen into that category, because that's also difficult to obtain from the diet because it comes from bone-in cuts of meat, and largely we're sticking to muscle meat like hamburger and steaks and not consuming enough collagen in the diet. So you can get collagen in a supplement powdered form, and you're doing really well there. So that's the global all-stars: liver, oysters, salmon, roe, and caviar, and fruit. The animal organs would be the next tier. Of course, liver is there, but then we're also talking about things like heart, kidney, sweetbread, Rocky Mountain oysters, which is code name for testicles, and tripe. And think about traditional cultures across the globe. I'm fortunate enough to enjoy some traditional Mexican cuisine where you have tripe, where you have the stomach lining going into the soup, and so many great meals that have been long forgotten as we, fast forward here into the fast food culture of today. So it's time to bring back those cultural traditions. Of course, French cuisine and the wonderful book that I published called Bordeaux Kitchen has all kinds of different recipes for your sliced lamb brains and your heart and your kidney. And if that stuff turns your stomach, you better dial up your great-grandmother, because, again, these were centerpiece foods for generations, for eons, for the history of human evolution, and they've just been quickly discarded to our detriment. So we want to return to our cultural roots and start bringing these organ foods back into the game. That's category number 2. And bone broth is in there as well. So authentic bone broth that is gelatinous when it's refrigerated. And yes, it's the expensive stuff that you see in the small container or the small bag that costs $8 or $10 instead of $1.99, where it says bone broth on the carton, but that's really bone stock. It's just water with a little bit of flavoring. So we want to get authentic bone broth that turns gelatinous when it's refrigerated, and that's an indication that it's high in collagen and under other beneficial compounds like glycosaminoglycans that help with joint health that are very difficult to source elsewhere in the diet. So get your organ game going and your collagen game. And then we go down to the third ranking, and that is red meat. And red meat has been the centerpiece of the human diet throughout evolution, and it is vastly superior in nutrition profile to the other types of meat that are sometimes are frequently regarded as healthier than red meat. So this is now a huge throwaway line when you hear someone saying, yeah, I'm trying to eat healthier. I just eat chicken and fish. I don't eat red meat anymore. And you get widespread congratulations. You have that shit backwards. Red meat is superior. Red meat describes a ruminant animal. So the cow, the buffalo, bison, elk, lamb, venison, other animals that offer red meat, they are in the category of ruminant animals, and they have a multi-chambered stomach that can process, for example, the feed that we give processed animals, feedlot animals. They can process that more easily and deliver a more favorable end product with a better fatty acid profile than the white meat category of chicken, turkey, and pork. So when you feed a chicken the corn and soy feed that is common with a conventionally raised animal, you're going to get an inferior fatty acid profile in the end product, because chicken, turkey, pork are monogastric animals, single stomach animals. So they eat the soy and corn feed that has high levels of the unwanted omega-6 fats, and they dispense a end product where the flesh is high in omega-6 fats. So if you're going to eat chicken, turkey, and pork, you absolutely positively must source a 100% grass-fed or pasture-raised source of those animals. It's called heritage breed when you're choosing pork. So you go to ButcherBox and they have done that for you, so you can get a really true quality chicken or quality bacon, but it's difficult to find. And so that's a real red flag there, is you got to choose right with chicken, turkey, and pork. When it comes to red meat, of course, grass-fed, 100% grass-fed cattle is going to be superior to the feedlot cattle, but let it be known, all cattle are grass-fed for about 80% of their life, and then when it's time to go in the feedlot, yes, they get some objectionable corn and soy-based feed that does not have a lot of nutritional properties. It's not healthy for the animal. They fatten up the animal really quickly in the final months of life to yield more end product. However, that animal is still delivering an end product that's high in saturated fat, which does not have those objections that the unstable omega-6 fats that come from your chicken, turkey, and pork. That's why red meat is number 3 on the ranking list. Choose wisely. If you join butcherbox.com, look at butcherbox.com/Brad Kearns, and there's a special offer for you to begin. This has been really a centerpiece of my diet for the last several years, where I just get a custom designed box every month or as often as I want. If I'm falling behind or traveling, I can change everything, including the contents of the box, all with a few clicks of the button on their really handy website. But then all the guesswork is taken out. I don't have to go driving around town looking for a grass-fed butcher here and trying to find something closer to home on a certain day there. I just get it, I put it in my freezer, and I have a constant supply of the very best meat. And it's also a great idea to look beyond the most common, most popular animals. So if you go in and can source buffalo, bison, elk, lamb, venison, you are getting a vastly superior and healthier animal because they are not mass produced in the same manner that cattle is. And that's why I love wildideabuffalo.com. Really delicious. It's a pricey product, but again, it's the most nutritious food you can get. So it's worth considering. So as we proceed through the Carnivore Scores food ranking chart and the tiers, I did the Global All-Stars, I did the animal organs, we got red meat. Next on the list is eggs, of course, one of the true essential life force foods of the planet. And you want to source pasture raised as your top priority. And of course, you're going to pay a little more than a conventional egg, but the nutritional benefits are vastly superior. And again, just like I talked about with the alternative animals, if you can go looking for things like duck eggs, I also like the tiny little quail eggs. You can find alternative eggs. Those are going to be a wonderful choice too. Then we go down to wild-caught, oily, cold water fish, the best source of dietary omega-3s. So you go to the SMASH family. SMASH stands for sardines, mackerel, anchovies, salmon, and herring. They're inexpensive. So if you're on a budget and you're looking at my chart going, gee, Brad, this is really breaking me. Not really, because grass-fed liver and the other animal organs, the top rankers, are by and large very inexpensive because consumer demand is not there. When you're talking about a dozen eggs, even if it costs you $6, $7, I've seen them for $8, kind of high. If it's $5, $6, $7 for a dozen eggs, what an amazing return on investment for that little of an investment. You're getting an amazing nutritional centerpiece for the week of eating. Or in the case of Andrew Zaragoza, Power Project Podcast, a day of eating because he eats 10 eggs every morning. And that is the centerpiece of his healthy diet. Okay, and the same with the SMASH family of fish, the canned fish, easy to source, the healthiest in the fish category. We do have a lot of objections in the fish category today because of polluted waters, because of questionable regulation in the Asian countries where they import a lot of fish. You're not sure if the water was polluted. You're not sure if the fish were fed chemicals in their diet. And so, unfortunately, we can't just choose any old fish that comes on our plate. We have to look at resources like the Monterey Bay Aquarium or the foodwatch.org and see which fish are okay and which are warned to stay away from. Shellfish is another category, and a shellfish has more protection against polluted waters and adverse farming practices. So things like oysters, as were already mentioned. Then we have clams, crab, lobster, mussels, octopus, scallops. Excellent source of monounsaturated and omega-3 fats. And if you can find sustainably caught, wild caught, that's great. And then the final two categories, as I go through the tiered ranking, organic, high-fat dairy products. And we want to stay away from the processed dairy that's pasteurized, homogenized, especially low-fat or non-fat. That means we're looking for things like raw cheese, kefir, and milk. Yes, raw milk, indeed. You can find it at a quality health food store. Cream cheese, heavy cream, sour cream, and full-fat yogurt. So dairy can be a wonderful addition to the diet if you don't have concerns about reactivity, which some people report. So you're going to source, looking at this chart, the stuff that you like the best, the stuff that are most affordable, whatever works for you. And then the last category I talked about, chicken, turkey, and pork, and how so important it is to source from the best grass-fed, 100% pasture-raised, or heritage breed pork. Thank you for listening. And couple more parts to go, and then we'll be all dialed in with natural testosterone optimization. Thank you so much for listening to the B.rad podcast. We appreciate all feedback and suggestions. Email podcast@bradventures.com and visit bradkearns.com to download 5 free ebooks and learn some great long cuts to a longer life, how to optimize testosterone naturally, become a dark chocolate connoisseur, and transition to a barefoot and minimalist shoe lifestyle.